Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
Yes. And Megan, this month has been a little extra queer for us.
Yeah,
We had such a fun time at Pride. Anyone who missed us, we were at Pride in Dallas. I don't know, Megan, what were your thoughts?
it was a blur. It was very queer. It was exciting. It was a crazy weekend. We were all over the place. I swear, I think I spent at least 20 hours at some sort of Pride event this past weekend.
Yeah, definitely. It was like Pride overload.
It really was. No, so I had, because we did tables, so thanks to y'all who came to visit us at our table. It was so fun to see y'all. It was wild. Just a lot of meeting and greeting people. My dogs were barking. I was on my feet longer than I had in the past, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not proud of that. But I will say, I think my favorite part was the parade. I don't know about you, Maddie. What was your favorite part?
I mean, all of it was my favorite part. I will say, I think that, I mean, the parade was fun. I enjoyed the parade, but I do think I actually enjoyed Saturday a little bit more
Okay,
because we got to interact with way more people.
that's true.
I think we had a nice steady flow of people. We were next to the drag stage,
Next to
so we got to see some awesome performances and also not hear anybody that came to our table.
yeah, we were also deaf by the end of the day.
Yes. So yeah, I think Saturday I liked it a little bit more. The parade
Mhm.
was fun. Um,
Well,
and
I
I'm really
think no, I realized that I may have, completed a bucket list thing for me because I grew up in Louisiana, so I went to a
mm,
lot of Mardi Gras parades as a kid, and at those parades, y'all, it is coming down. It's raining on you. So you got
yeah.
cups, you got beads, you got just coins and all this stuff. But now I was the thrower. And instead of beads and well, we did have some beads and candy, but I was launching K-cups, like
Right.
little I was like, y'all better watch out. Whoopah, whoopah. Just like the fear and joy on people's face
Yeah.
was amazing. Like the fear
Yeah.
of what is that coming towards my face and the joy once they realized it was just coffee. So
Mhm.
I think that was my favorite part.
Yeah, no, it was fun, but we were definitely going way too fast at the parade.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish somebody would have recorded us because I
And
swear to
I
God,
was a little overwhelmed by it all.
yeah, it was
I wish that I had just sat on the float.
I was a bit overloaded. Yeah, we should have. Now thinking back, we should have just sat. We thankfully Comerica did invite
Yeah.
us to the parade, but we were just trailing along behind the float. But, that's why you learn things as a business
Yeah.
person, as, new entrepreneur. You have to just go with the flow. Everything's not going to come
Yes.
out perfect and as anticipated, and you just have to adapt, which we did by running,
Yeah. I think sprinting.
sprinting behind the
Yeah.
float and
But no,
tossing
I
whatever I could.
I enjoyed it, and I loved the Comerica team. They were so welcoming.
Mhm.
They were excited
Yes.
to have
Thank you,
us join
Christina.
them. Yeah, thank you Comerica and Christina and just that whole team. And we're really excited to maybe have some of their leaders on a future episode to talk a little bit about just their overall culture and things that they're doing to continue to be at the forefront of important conversations. I think that's one thing that really stood out to me as we were kind of getting ready for the parade. You know, we had like the little Comerica team huddle and their leader, and I don't know verbatim what was said, but some of the things that were said were like, y'all, today is so important that we're here and we're making sure that we're having a good time and helping other people have a good time because there are so many companies that pulled out of their involvement in these kinds of events or chose not to even consider it this year, and so we want everyone to know that like we are here for all of our communities, and that just was so important to me because I do think, and my spouse and I were actually talking about this, like after the parade. The companies that weren't there, that had been there maybe previous years, like the
Mhm.
silence was loud
Yeah.
on who was missing that usually is there.
Mhm.
And so I just that kind of fed into some of those conversations we had in our last episode about like corporatization of pride, who's serious about it, who's just doing it for aesthetic, who's not reading the room.
Yeah, it was definitely known, um and you could tell that I mean, obviously the patrons were well aware, and it's a
Mhm.
lot of discussion and the talk about it. And just really how it affects the event itself, not having the community support because it is
Mhm.
based off donations and sponsorships and so forth. So a lot of these events that are put on, they do require a lot of community support. So thanks so much for y'all for coming out and giving us your love and celebrating. It was
Mhm.
definitely a day to remember.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know Megan, you went a little bit to Arlington Pride. Want to share anything about Arlington Pride?
Well, I'm sure a lot of y'all, if you're in the area, a lot of people were at Arlington Pride. I live around in the Arlington area, so I was like, I have to go, even though I just stood for like 10 hours. But it was wild. It was hot. It was hot. I didn't even
Mhm.
like the lines for a drink was like you had to stand in the ticket line and then you had to get in the drink line. So really, I just kind of hung out with some friends and there was good music. It was, a bunch of local drag queens and kings, and then they had Trixie Mattel, but honestly, I didn't stay that long because I was beat.
Yeah.
But I think it was just good to go hang out with friends and just be in the vibe. It's always a good party, and I like the party vibe.
Mhm.
So some like it chill, but I like that party vibe.
And Megan also at Arlington Pride had her first experience of being a internet
Celebrity.
local celebrity. So at Arlington Pride, Megan is like chilling, getting her little drink, ready to just unwind. And she hears this person go, Megan?
Yeah, I was so scared because I looked at this person and I was like, I don't remember who this person is, but I'm gonna act like she's my best friend. I gave her a hug and I was like, yeah, this is happening. And then she was like, oh yeah, I know you from the show. Blah blah. I was like,
And
oh,
it,
cool.
yes, it happened to be a longtime listener slash friend, Veronica. So shout
Yes.
out Veronica for listening to us. Veronica's been listening since the very first episode.
Yes.
And Veronica actually watches us on YouTube. And so she recognized Megan from the video. Those of you that watch us from, what she looked like on the video. And
Yeah,
it
I'm
made
pretty
Megan
sure
feel very special, but also a
it
little
did.
confused because she was like, I don't know if I know you or not.
Well, it's just like that fear of like, crap, like this person really knows me and I don't know who you
Right? You
are.
start running through names like,
Like my
hmm.
little brain Rolodex, just like, and it was hot and I was like trying to get a little tipsy. So but it was really funny. No, I really enjoyed meeting her and just, getting to like, that's why we're here. We're here to like meet and chat with y'all and really have fun within the communities. Yeah. Yeah. It was a good time. It was a good time. I'll
Yes.
try to act a little bit more cool the next time someone reaches out to me in public. It's so funny.
Whatever, no, we'll pretend like we know you because we do.
We do. Yeah, we're all friends
You just might
here.
have to tell us your name.
Yes, please.
But yeah, how fun. So shout out Veronica. Let us know in the comments, you guys, anyone else that has been listening since that very first episode. Let us
It's pretty
know
wild.
if you are one of those longtime listeners as well. And also, final plug, Megan and I will be at JR's in Dallas on Cedar Springs tonight from 6 to 7:30. So come hang out with us, help us celebrate our 1 year podcast anniversary. We just want to mingle, chill, hang out, have a good time. We might have a few swag items that we will be giving out. So make sure you come out and hang out with us. We would love to see you.
All right.
So, Megan, I
Mhm.
thought continuing this theme of Pride, since we are still in the month of Pride. I'm curious, last time we talked a little bit about like sort of corporatized pride, like I guess that outward appearance of pride, but when you hear pride in the workplace, what are some things you think of?
Hmm. Pride in the workplace. I guess I feel like it really means to be your authentic self and not really being afraid of any backlash about who you are or where you come from and your experiences. That's what it means to me. It's like it's not just about like the fear of the gay agenda, but it's
Uh-huh.
about just really being yourself. I've been in a lot of workspaces where I really haven't been able to be myself and it's so exhausting. Exhausting just like trying to like it's like the circle in a square peg hole, right? It's just like it
Yeah.
just never really seems right. And finally finding that workspace that you don't really have to second guess everything that you're saying or how you're acting.
Uh-huh.
It really just kind of takes that extra stress away. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it is about feeling safe to be your authentic self and not having to like second guess anything. But I think it's also like the culture, right? I guess that all feeds into it, right? If I'm feeling safe to be my authentic self and, talk openly about my wife
Hmm.
without being like, do I have to be like, do I need to keep things kind of like gender neutral
Right.
because of safety? Then that's gonna be in the culture of the workplace as well. So, like, your coworkers, the leaders, it's all gonna just kind of be rooted in there where no one cares, or no one
Hmm.
says, like if someone says something openly rude or offensive, it's addressed
Hmm.
appropriately. So I think that yeah, I think that's what it means to me, and I think it's not even about, I mean, yes, having open conversations and trainings about how to be inclusive is important, but I think it's also about, do we have to have an entire hour-long meeting about whether or not we're gonna use pronouns in our emails, or can
Hmm.
we just do it?
Right, right. And I think it's also like knowing that your work is valuable, right?
Yeah.
There have been plenty of times where,
Mhm.
I put my perspective into my work and my experiences, lived
Mhm.
experiences into my work. And of course, we do community work, right? So
Yeah.
it's probably different compared to other spheres, but not second guessing like, well, are they critiquing me because it needs to be critiqued, or are they critiquing me because they have a
Mhm.
problem with me? You
Yeah.
know, and
Mhm.
so that can also be exhausting. So like having pride in your work and just being able to be like, yeah, this is me. This is the work I'm doing.
Mhm.
This is like, and I'm putting my heart and soul into it because I want to get paid and I want to do a good job, but not having to second guess that either.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and I think that kind of trickles into some things that cuz I was curious, like, what are some other people saying about this idea of pride in the workplace? And it's like, on one hand, when we hear pride, because we like to talk about all things queer, we focus on like, how are they showing up for the queer community? How are they being inclusive? But I do think there's another layer to that, which is just your overall pride that you have in the work that you're doing. And so, I was kind of exploring. I did some research, that we love to do some research here at Not a Lonely Coffee Break. And this organization that just highlights a lot of different things within workplaces, Great Place to Work, Insight. They broke it down into like three different levels of workplace pride. So they say, okay, are people proud of their job? Right? So you take pride in the work itself, which is what you were just kinda alluding to, I
Hmm.
think, Megan, like, am I completing a project that, like, I can be proud of because I feel like it has elements of myself as well as, what we're trying to do.
Hmm.
Then there's also this level of being proud of your team. So, like, the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis. Are you as a team proud of the work that you're putting out there? And I think that could contribute to is like, are you getting along? Are you able to present a project that might have different layers of your teammates' authenticity in there? And then just the overall company. So are you proud of the work that the company is doing, right? The mission, the reputation that that company has? Because I think employees, leaders who can maybe check off those boxes and say, yes, I am proud of all three of those things, they are going to be more satisfied
Mhm.
and be more likely to stay at this place of work. And so I don't know, I thought that was really interesting because I sometimes hear people say, especially in this culture where, we are just kind of we need the money.
Mhm.
I think people lose sight of trying to find a job that they can feel proud of while also making that money that they need. And so sometimes they do kind of say, I don't have to enjoy this work.
Yeah.
I don't have to be happy with it. It's paying my bills, it's getting my groceries. And yes, there might be time periods where you have to do that, but I do think it's important to try to find opportunities that you can feel proud in the work that you're putting out there and the
Yeah.
people that you're doing the work with.
Yeah, because at different levels of, there's different levels and different, like, all sorts of careers out there, right? And it's like, well, I'm kind of in this trade and I'm like, this is just it. This is what it is
Mhm.
for me. And there's not a lot of, but it's, if you're unhappy, then plan those steps, right? Like, we're talking about having a perfect workplace or having a workplace that you want to be proud of, but it doesn't
Mhm.
happen overnight, you know?
Right.
So, finding a network and really just be like, okay, and it's not going to be a perfect road, but like,
Mhm.
well, maybe if I try this place and like get myself out and then try this place and, and just trying exploring what options are good for you. And,
Mhm.
and if you're not getting satisfied out of that, then maybe finding some
Mhm.
community work you can participate in
Right.
where you do feel
Mhm.
appreciated and where you do feel some value into what you're
Yeah.
doing. Cause that's what I
Mhm.
did for a long time is like, I wasn't finding joy in my day to day work, but I love participating in the community. I love finding
Mhm.
a community where I actually do feel welcome
Yeah.
because it
And
just
I think
feels good.
yeah, no, I think it could be like baby steps, right? Because it's not no place is gonna be perfect. There's gonna be because everyone is different. People are different. We all have different ideas, and all of that. But I think that if you were in a workplace where you are able to at least have a respectful, engaging conversation about something maybe you would like to see and it's receptive, like, the leaders or the decision makers are maybe at least willing to have that conversation with you, I think that's a step where they're like, I don't know if we can do that, but let's keep thinking about this and see if there's something that maybe we can meet halfway,
Hmm.
we can start to implement. Maybe it's like a pilot program, or
Right.
maybe they're like, "Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet, but why don't we start a little employee resource group and you guys can start thinking of different ideas to present to us?" Because sometimes you have to change a culture, and to
Hmm.
change a culture, it's gonna take time.
Yeah, I think that with a lot of the rollbacks, whereas like culture was kind of being developed internally,
Mhm.
I feel like now it is
Mhm.
requiring a lot of like managers or like leaders
Yeah.
in certain businesses that like they're responsible for that, which is a lot on their shoulders, especially if the company is really large and they're not giving them the resources to succeed. But
Right.
y'all could, it's team building. If you feel comfortable talking to your manager or like your leaders or even like rallying some coworkers who are in the
Mhm.
same mind and want to contribute to something like that, then I think it's a great idea. Um,
Mhm.
because the data's there. I mean, it ultimately helps with productivity in your workplace. Not saying
Yeah.
this it's gonna be your 40 hours a week, like, this is what you're doing, but, like, if you guys are participating in something that you feel like is valuable, it will help your productivity in the workplace.
Yeah, so this same little snippet article that I found that kind of broke it down into the 3 levels for us, it also says that companies or organizations who invest in creating that culture of, like, having a workplace pride, they have found that those employees are 6 times more likely to endorse their workplace to others, right? So I'm more
Mhm.
likely to tell my friends to apply or recommend our services
Mhm.
to someone in the community. They're 2 times more likely to want to stay with the company for a long time. So that's that retaining the employees that you have versus just chew them up and spit them out,
Mm-hmm.
which we're seeing a lot of companies do. And then this is a lower data point, but I do think it's still important. It's one times more likely to say that it's a great place to work. And I think that feeds into their like it's still not perfect. There's still some things that we would love to see different, but we're on the right track kind of mindset. And so I think that that matters, right? What are we doing to keep the employees that we have so that they don't leave?
Because leaving it causes a big issue, you know?
Mhm.
If you have a revolving door in
Mhm.
your business, it's people
Mhm.
notice, you know?
Yeah, well, I was talking to someone actually recently. And I'm not going to say what industry they were in because I'm just protecting privacy.
Anonymity.
Um but this particular industry, they said, it's really hard because they're hiring like new people at a higher salary, but they're not offering any of us sort of longtime veteran employees
Like raises.
any kind of raises or cushion. And so it's like sometimes it feels more worth it to like quit and
Yeah.
then reapply and try to be a new employee because we're not anywhere close to the number that they're hiring, but they're looking for those fresh out of college graduates. And they said it feels like they're kind of and we kind of talked about this. I said it seems like maybe there's this culture of using you up until the point of burnout,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you're burned out,
They'll recycle you. Yeah.
they just get a new crop
Yeah.
of people that don't that they're brand new, and so they're still learning about burnout,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so they're going to use them up until they burn out
Yeah.
and have to quit. And I think we're seeing more and more of that.
You know, I'm curious. This might be like some, I don't know, what's the term when everything's going around apocalyptic dystopia. But you know how
Yeah.
there's a lot of conferences about like best practices and how to create better
Mhm.
workspaces and leadership and blah 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 blah. Like, are there like darker conferences where they're like, here's
How
how
to
you
create a toxic workplace.
how to exploit your workers to the max and
Oh my
for
gosh,
the
like the dark web of conferences.
yes, like there has to be, right? Or are we just innately that evil? One or the other. I can't decide.
I do think, and I can't speak for every industry, but I have not witnessed it myself, but I have heard sometimes that people will go to a conference that has um people like signed up or whatever for certain presentations, and it turns out in the presentation like the speaker ends up not really talking about what you thought they were going to talk about.
Really?
An example, at least in my industry. So there's this training that I do, which we've talked about on the show before. And one of the big things about being an instructor of the training is like we have to follow the fidelity of the course. So like we have a script, we have a certain curriculum. Now we can add like some of our own within reason, some of our own kind of creativity and stuff, but we have to follow the curriculum as it's written. We can't go off book too much, and we have to
Hmm.
present everything within the training. Well, I heard at like their major conference, the people who create the curriculum, they had this person scheduled to give a presentation who did the presentation, and it was supposed to be like it was kind of presented as like a best practice type of thing. And then when they got into the training, it was literally the presenter telling them things that they can cut out of the curriculum to make the training shorter.
Okay.
And a lot of people were upset about it because they were like, how is this person an instructor of this curriculum? Like, how are they able to present this? And it's because they didn't know, like, when they booked this presenter, they didn't know that that's what the presentation was because you only have to present like your title and
Right.
objectives, at least in this industry. You don't have to like show them your slides. You don't have to send in a video recording of the presentation. So essentially, this person was just dishonest in what their presentation was about,
That's wild.
then did a presentation on how to
How to cut
basically,
corners.
yeah, how to cut corners. And I don't know if they are currently an instructor,
Yeah,
But
that's
I've
really
heard of
bold,
yeah, I've heard of
honestly.
things like that happening in, like, other industries too, where, like, they'll think that they're going to a workshop or something about one thing, and then it turns out that it is not that at all.
That's wild. And you're like, "Well, I just wasted one of my sessions. Thanks for nothing."
Right, right.
I'm giving you a negative review. That's wild. Yeah, there's gotta be some sort of, like, dark conferences out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like you said, like, they just say that they're gonna be doing this and then they, like,
Mhm.
they go off left field or whatever. That's wild. Yeah, because why would you want to cut the curriculum like that unless you're just like, "Here, if you wanna be lazy
Yeah, it's
and
lazy.
just" yeah, and just,
Well, and
not get the point
it's
across.
being dishonest
Yeah.
about, like, even who you train because it's like a certification
Yeah.
that
Train the
they get.
trainer.
So, like yeah, so it's just being dishonest, and
Yeah.
if I had been there, I probably would have stood up and been like, "Lies!
And in the back, just, like, pointing,
Yes!
"Again, lies! He's a
Get
liar."
them!"
You just, like, go up there and,
Yeah.
"Get him out of here."
Yeah.
That would be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to go to another conference so I can watch that happen.
Yeah. We like Megan and I like conferences,
Yeah, we're
y'all.
nerds.
We haven't been to one together in a while, but one day.
They work out well for us, yeah.
We like a good conference. We like to host a good
We like to
conference.
critique a good conference.
We like to critique a good conference or a bad conference. We like to say what things that we could do to improve a
Mhm.
conference.
This is what I
Because
would do.
Megan and I, even though Megan and I come from a workplace that when we're thinking about those 3 levels, it's really hard to sort of say, like, I wasn't proud in this. Because like, I was proud of my teammate and Megan, and I was proud of the work that we were producing. And for the most part, I was proud of my work that I was spitting out, and I was proud of the idea of the mission of the company and all of that. But it was the leader that I was not proud in. And so it made me second guess my own work and our own work, I think. I don't know,
Yeah,
does that make sense?
it does. It
It was
does.
kind of like, yes, I was proud, but I also was not proud.
Mhm. Yeah, it was like you were creating all these, like, great things and, like,
Mhm.
completing it's not like you were just doing a bunch of stuff and not completing it. I mean, we were
Yep.
doing completing tasks and events and things like that, but it just had, like, this, like, aura that would just dim it all.
Yeah.
And it would just be like, "Well, I guess it wasn't as good as I felt like it went," you know? And it was just, like,
Mhm.
always this the gaslighting and the
Well, we were
surrounding that.
constantly Megan and I were constantly kinda told, like, "Well, it's not good enough."
Mhm.
It was okay, but not good enough.
It was just but it was, like, constant.
Or we were told it was not good.
Yeah, just all the time, and we're like, "Really?
Yeah.
We just freaking suck."
Yeah.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
true. We
But I
don't
do
suck,
think
by the way.
I do think I say that to say, like, one toxic person, whether it's a leader or even a coworker, I
Mhm,
think that one toxic person can impact overall pride in the workplace because
mhm.
that one person can shift the culture for everyone else.
Yeah, and it disrupts the outcomes, the
Mhm.
trajectory of goals,
Mhm.
alignment, like, it's yeah. I heard a metaphor the other day. It's like you have this fruit, in a basket, and it goes bad, and then all the rest of the fruits start to
Oh, I
kind of
love that.
yeah, they just
Yes.
slowly but surely, they will start to rot. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I was like, that
Oh
is
my
really
gosh, I
good."
love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So you just
'Cause
gotta get the
yeah,
bad fruit out.
you gotta
It
get
do
that bad
it
fruit
doesn't
out.
happen overnight, but it does if you're not paying attention,
Mhm.
it'll just ruin the whole bowl. So, and,
Yeah, so
we're all fruits here, so
you've gotta address it ASAP.
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What kind of fruit are you, Maddie?
I don't know what kind of fruit I am. What
I
kind of
know.
fruit are you?
I'm a cherry.
Oh my gosh, I was just thinking a
A
cherry.
cherry? We could be like the 2 cherries.
Yes, I really like
I
cherry
love cherries. I could
and,
eat cherries all day.
cherry flavored I don't like all like, artificially cherry flavored things, I'm not always a fan of because I don't like it to taste like cough medicine,
Mm,
but I do like cherry flavored things.
yeah, I like cherry flavored cough medicine. I like cherry
Yes.
flavored cough drops, maraschino cherries.
Yes, I like maraschino cherries. I like if we get ice cream, if it's a cherry flavor, I'm most likely gonna get
Mm,
it.
yeah, like the black cherry and chocolate one.
Oh my gosh, yes. Now I
Wow.
want that.
Yeah, it's hot today. We gotta get
Ooh,
some ice cream.
yes. Yes. I also like raspberry.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm
it's okay.
I don't usually, like, eat raspberries, like, plain by
Mhm.
themselves, but I do like raspberry, like, mixed in with stuff.
I like chocolate raspberry. Yeah.
We're thinking about all the sweets.
I don't actually like fruit on its own.
We don't
Like,
like fruit by
who
itself. It needs
who
to be with
eats
a
that?
sweet.
Yeah, I like it in the form of a treat.
Okay, a fruit though that I do like to eat by itself, it is so good. But I think it's only like it's a seasonal type of thing. It's a hybrid. It's an orange mixed with a grapefruit,
Oh,
and it is so good.
it's a mutant orange.
Like, so good. When they're in season, that's what we get. Like, it has the I guess, like, the sweetness and juiciness
Mhm.
of an orange, and
Mhm.
it's, like, the size of an orange, but it has the coloring and a little bit of the tartness of a grapefruit, but it's not so tart that
That
you're
you're
like yeah,
just like puckering the whole time.
yeah, because grapefruits are kinda bitter, I think.
They are. Yeah, I don't really like grapefruit unless it's in my vodka. But
We do like it mixed with a good drink.
yeah, a paloma. But yeah, I think the only hybrid weird fruit I had was a pear apple. It's like the size of an apple,
Mhm.
but it has the consistency of a pear. It's really weird.
Okay. I think we had one time too that we liked that was like a hybrid. It was like a plum mixed with like a peach maybe?
That's weird. Was it a fuzzy plum?
No.
Okay.
No.
It just
It
had
was the size of a plum and like the outside was like smooth like a plum.
that's
But
crazy.
I think that's what it was mixed with. I don't remember, but I remember it was good.
That's weird. All these
Anyway, we
hybrids.
got off on a side
A tangent,
tangent
sorry. I
because
might need some
we
ice cream.
But we are out of coffee. At least I am. This is my last sip. Thank you for joining us. Make sure if you have not already, hit that bell if you're on YouTube so that you never miss an episode. Also subscribe if you have not already. I hope that you're subscribing. Make sure you follow us on any of our social media platforms. We are always wanting to see you online. um, yeah, thanks for a great episode. And hopefully, we'll see some of you tonight as we celebrate Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Megan. Cheers.
Cheers, queer.